Skull and Bones, an upcoming naval pirate game that only has one playable faction, you, the pirates. I genuinely think this game has a potential for great success, even if mechanically the game is lackluster and poor and is missing quite a few features, and the features that are there are mechanically void of any logic, very arcadey. However, I think this still has the potential to be financially successful. Not only that, I think it also has the potential to have a large player base. And I kind of want to just dive into the reasons why I think that and why I think games like this that, always seem to lack in terms of content do so well. Why do we keep seeing poor games still perform well? Well, let's dive into some of the reasons. So the first point I want to explore is Skull and Bones being a niche game and kind of niche games as a whole. Even though niche to most people would mean a small interest and idea with a small community behind it, within gaming this can actually have the opposite effect, where there's such a big market for a niche, but no one doing it, or very few games doing it in the way that players want, which actually generates quite a lot of attraction to it. This is the sort of thing that brings players in by the flocks. We've also seen quite a few games that start to develop as a niche and then change track halfway through development because they think or they've analyzed data and they realize that they're just not going to generate the player base that they want or that they need to sustain the game. So they do a 180. This is most common with PvP games, especially loot PvP games where you have full or semi-loot, and they realize that that's a very, very niche thing and the player base for that is quite small. So companies tend to stick away from that, and the few that have tried usually deviate away from it. So the second point is competition. This game thoroughly lacks competition within the niche market. It is primarily a naval action game. There's not too many games that do this. You have Sea of Thieves, but yet again, that has on-land combat. And it even has boarding. This game has no boarding. It is just simply a animation. What we do have is an older game called Naval Action. This is the closest I could find to being a competitor to this game. The only other one would be Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which basically what this game is meant to take over from, so not really a competitor. But Naval Action, if we just look at that for a few seconds, that died a horrible death. That was by an indie studio. It followed some of the same principles that Skull and Bones is trying to follow. Only naval combat, there's different factions, you can be a pirate, the battles are pretty epic and large scaled, but the devs killed that game. So realistically, Skull and Bones is the only game of its type. And the difference between Skull and Bones and Naval Action is the fact that they have Ubisoft behind them, and I don't think they will abandon the game. They've not abandoned any of their games before. They usually push out updates and they're quite consistent, which brings me on to my third point, and that is brand loyalty. We all know that Ubisoft hasn't exactly hit the mark in the most recent years, with Ghost Recon Breakpoint flopping on release. The Assassin's Creed Valhalla title having nothing to do with the assassin part in the name. And even the Division 2 struggled to roll over the same player base that the Division 1 had. Yet despite all this, there are still 4,000 players playing the Division 2 concurrently. People keep buying Ubisoft products no matter what they push out. It feels like no matter what they do or how awful their games are, people still remain loyal to them. And because of the memories they have on some of their older titles, they will keep buying whatever they push out, no matter how bad or how dysfunctional or how broken it is. They will buy it on release and even pre-order it in hopes that it will get better. And this is one of the main reasons why I think Skull and Bones will still be a success. Even if loads of people turn around and say, I didn't enjoy it, I didn't find it fun, how has it sold any copies at all? And that's mainly because most people are happy nowadays with just a mediocre product from a company that they trust and they see that they owe their loyalty to. But anyway guys, that's enough of my depressing outlook on why I think this game will be successful. Please give me a little sub. I'm brand new to making YouTube videos, and any criticism is good criticism, so let me know in the comments.